"Stay out of my life." That was the last thing Claire ever said to me. Her tone wasn't anger, it was fear wrapped in steel. The call ended before I could reply, leaving the sound of my own breath echoing through the kitchen. Weeks passed. Then, one stormy night, I found her letter buried beneath unpaid bills in a box of our mother's things. The handwriting was hers, uneven but deliberate. My name scrawled in black ink. A strange weight sat in my chest as I opened it. Inside, just one line. "If you find this, don't trust anyone." Not even me. My hands shook. The lights flickered. A chill slithered through the air as thunder rolled overhead. For a moment I thought I saw movement outside. Someone standing under the streetlight, watching. The letter trembled in my fingers, and I realized Claire hadn't left me behind. She'd been trying to protect me. From what, I didn't yet know. The next morning, the storm had passed, but the world still felt wrong. The air smelled like wet paper and electricity. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been outside last night. She called Claire's old number again. It went straight to voicemail. She drove to Claire's apartment, only to find the door locked and the hallway eerily quiet. Mail piled under the slot, each envelope stamped, "Returned to sender." When the superintendent finally opened the door, the apartment looked frozen in time. Half-packed boxes, an unmade bed, and a photo of the two sisters turned face down. Emma's pulse quickened as she noticed a strand of auburn hair tangled on the pillow. Claire had left in a hurry, and not by choice. At the police station, Emma meets Detective Mark Ellison. He's tall, broad-shouldered, with dark stubble and weary blue eyes that study her too long. He listens as she tells him about the letter, the warning, the figure outside. When she finishes, he leans back and sighs. "Claire Hayes is on record," he says quietly, "but not how you think. She is a witness in an ongoing case. Or was." His tone sharpens. "If you love your sister, you need to forget what you found." But Emma doesn't believe in forgetting anymore. Back home that night, Emma replayed every moment. The letter, the storm, the shadow outside. Sleep came in fragments, haunted by whispers that sounded like Claire's voice. At 2 a.m., a soft knock echoed at the door. She froze. Another knock, slightly louder. She called out, no answer. Slowly, she stepped forward, every breath shallow. When she opened the door, the corridor was empty except for a small brown envelope on the floor. Inside was a photograph of her and Claire taken years ago, except this one had never been taken. The next morning, Emma returned to Claire's apartment one last time. But when she arrived, the building was surrounded by police tape. A neighbor told her they'd found something inside. A wallet, a broken phone, and a blood-stained scarf. Emma felt her throat close. That scarf had been a birthday gift she'd given Claire years ago. The detective's words echoed in her mind. Forget what you found. But now, forgetting wasn't an option. Claire was in danger, or worse, and the truth was closing in fast. The night after the police sealed Claire's apartment, Emma couldn't sleep. The image of the blood-stained scarf burned behind her eyes. She sat at her desk, the letter unfolded again, staring at the words until they seemed to move. Then she noticed something she hadn't before. A faint indentation below the writing, barely visible. She held the page under light and rubbed a pencil gently across it. Hidden beneath were numbers, an address. Her pulse quickened as she typed it into her phone. It wasn't far. A warehouse on the edge of town. She grabbed her coat, stepped into the cold, and drove into the night, unaware that another car pulled out behind her, its headlights staying just out of reach. The warehouse stood alone at the edge of the river, its metal siding streaked with rust, its windows broken like open eyes. Emma parked across the street and waited. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, but she couldn't. The door was padlocked, yet fresh tire marks cut across the mud. Someone had been here recently. She climbed through a side gap and found herself in the dark, the smell of oil and wet dust filling her lungs. On a table near the far wall, a stack of files lay open, photographs, police reports, and at the center, Claire's name printed in bold. The sound of footsteps made Emma freeze. She turned off her flashlight and crouched behind a stack of crates. A shadow moved between the beams of light. A man's voice murmuring into a phone. "She's here." She found it. Emma's breath caught. She recognized the voice. Ryan Cole, Claire's ex, the one who'd broken her sister's heart years ago. She waited until he turned away, then slipped toward the exit. But the metal door groaned as she pushed it, echoing like a scream. The footsteps stopped. "Emma." His voice slid through the dark. "You shouldn't have come here." Emma ran. The sound of her boots echoed through the empty corridors. She burst outside into the cold night, breath coming fast, heart pounding. The street was empty, except for the river glinting under the moon. She turned a corner and stopped. Headlights blinded her. A car idled, door open. Detective Ellison stepped out slowly. "You shouldn't be here," he said. Claire was part of something bigger, something that got her in deep. His tone was low but urgent. "If you want to find her, you'll have to trust me." Emma wanted to believe him, but after Claire's warning, trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Emma followed Ellison into the car reluctantly. The drive was silent except for windshield wipers sweeping rain. When they stopped, she realized they were outside a secluded motel. Ellison parked, turned toward her. "This is where she was last seen," he said. 2 weeks ago." She checked in under another name, Claire Roberts. He handed her a small key. The tag read Room 12. Emma stepped out, her breath visible in the cold. She opened the door to a dim room filled with stale air and old perfume. On the dresser sat a half-empty bottle of Claire's favorite perfume and a notebook with her handwriting. Her heart raced. The first page began, "If you're reading this, I failed." Emma couldn't stop staring at Claire's handwriting. The words bled across the page like a confession. "If you're reading this, I failed." She flipped through the notebook, each entry darker than the last. Names, dates, and symbols that made no sense. One name repeated, Artar. She, Ryan Cole. Her pulse quickened. Behind her, Ellison's phone buzzed. He turned away to answer, voice low, urgent. When he hung up, he looked different. Tense, alert. "Someone broke into the station," he said. "The files on your sister are gone." Emma felt the air shift. The truth wasn't just hidden, it was being erased. The next morning, Ellison drove Emma back into town. The silence between them was thick, the sound of the engine the only constant. "Why was Ryan's name in her notes?" Emma asked. Ellison hesitated. "Because he wasn't just her ex," he said finally. "He worked for a company under investigation for laundering money, fronted by a man named Cole." Emma stared at him. "You mean Ryan's family?" He nodded grimly. "Claire was helping us gather evidence. She went missing 2 days before she was supposed to testify. The realization hit hard. Claire hadn't run from Emma. She'd run from the people hunting her. They stopped at a small cafe on the outskirts of town. Ellison said he needed a moment to make a call. Emma sat by the window, the smell of coffee, and rain filling the air. She turned Claire's notebook over in her hands. Something felt off about Ellison's story, too neat, too rehearsed. When she glanced outside, she saw Ryan's car parked across the street. He was inside, staring right at her. Their eyes met for the first time in years. He smiled, slow, knowing. A chill ran down her spine. By the time she looked again, the car was gone, leaving only wet tire tracks and a reflection that wouldn't stop shaking. When Ellison returned, Emma confronted him. "You said Ryan's company was under investigation, but you never said you were part of it." His eyes flickered, just once. "I used to be," he admitted. Until the case went cold, Claire was my last lead. The words hit her like a slap. You knew her. He nodded slowly. She came to me for protection. Emma stepped back, pulse racing. So why didn't you protect her? Silence filled the room. Finally, Ellison said, because she disappeared before I could. He looked at her with something close to guilt. And now, if Ryan knows you're digging, he won't make the same mistake twice. That night, Emma returned to the motel alone. The rain had stopped, but the air was still heavy with storm. She opened the notebook again, scanning through until she found a final page folded in half. Inside was a photo, Claire with Ryan, smiling in front of a glass building marked Cole and Associates. On the back, in Claire's handwriting, "The truth lives where they hide their money." Emma traced the words, heart pounding. The company, the case, the lies, they were all connected. She looked up at her reflection in the mirror and saw, for the first time, fear giving way to resolve. If her sister had been silenced for this truth, then Emma would make sure it spoke loud enough to burn. The next day brought no peace. Emma drove to the glass building from the photo, Cole and Associates. It loomed over the street like a mirror, reflecting lies. Inside, polished floors and fake smiles filled the lobby. She approached the receptionist and asked for Ryan Cole. The woman hesitated, then said softly, "Mr. Cole doesn't work here anymore." Emma's stomach tightened. As she turned to leave, she noticed a man in a gray suit watching her from across the lobby, pretending to read a newspaper. Their eyes met for a second too long. She pushed through the glass doors into the cold wind, realizing she wasn't just chasing the truth now. It was chasing her back outside. Emma walked fast, clutching her coat as if it could protect her from the truth. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop digging, Emma. Last warning." She froze in the middle of the sidewalk, scanning the street. Cars passed, people moved, but every face looked suspicious. She ran to her car and locked the doors, breath shaking. The next moment, her phone rang again, this time a voice. "Ryan." "You should have listened to her," he said. "Claire tried to save you from this." His tone was calm, chillingly gentle. "Meet me tonight, 10 p.m., the old bridge. Come alone." Then the line went dead. At sunset, Emma met Ellison at a roadside diner. She told him about Ryan's call, about the meeting at the bridge. Ellison leaned forward, voice low. "You're not going alone." She shook her head. "If he sees you, he'll vanish. I need him to talk." He hesitated, then slid a small recording device across the table. "Then at least take this." Their hands brushed for a moment, the air between them heavy with unspoken fear. As she left, Ellison watched her through the window, jaw tight, knowing he couldn't protect her if she stepped into the dark. By the time Emma reached the bridge, night had swallowed the town. The river below shimmered black, swallowing light from the single flickering street lamp. She stepped out of the car, wind biting her face. A shadow moved near the railing. Ryan. He turned slowly, smiling as if nothing had changed. "You always were curious," he said. "Claire was too." Emma held her ground. "Where is she?" His smile faded. "Gone because she didn't listen." He stepped closer. "Walk away, Emma. You're not built for this." The cold air cut between them. She saw something in his eyes then. Not pity, but fear. Ryan stepped closer, voice calm but sharp. "Your sister made a deal. She thought she could trade evidence for freedom. She was wrong." Emma's hands clenched. "So you killed her?" He shook his head slowly. "No, but I watched it happen." Her heart stopped. "She tried to expose someone bigger," he said. "Someone who owned all of us." His eyes flicked past her shoulder. She turned. Ellison stood at the end of the bridge, gun drawn, coat flapping in the wind. "Step away from her, Ryan." Lightning flashed, thunder roaring overhead. In that instant, Emma understood. The real threat wasn't behind her. It was standing in front of her, wearing a badge. The gun didn't fire. For a moment, time froze. The bridge, the rain, the trembling silence between heartbeats. Then Ellison lowered his weapon. Eyes locked on Ryan. "You were supposed to disappear," he said quietly. Ryan laughed bitterly. "So it was you." Emma stepped back, voice shaking. "You both knew her." Ellison's jaw tightened. "Claire worked for us, until she realized we weren't the good guys." His voice softened, regret in every word. "She tried to run, Emma. I tried to help." Ryan interrupted. "You mean you tried to silence her?" The truth was unraveling faster than the storm, and Emma finally understood. Her sister wasn't hiding from danger. She was hiding from both of them. Emma's voice cracked through the storm. "What did you do to her?" Ellison looked at the ground. She recorded something. Proof that Cole and Associates was laundering money through police accounts. She wanted to turn it in, but they found out. He looked up, eyes pleading. "I had told her to hide. I thought she escaped." Ryan shook his head, rain dripping from his hair. "She didn't. She came to me that night, said you'd betrayed her." Emma's pulse roared in her ears. The letter, the warning. It was never about strangers. It was about trust shattered from within. Ellison reached into his coat slowly, and for a second, Emma thought he'd draw the gun again. But instead, he held out a small flash drive. "This is what she died for," he said. "Her evidence." Emma's breath caught as he placed it in her palm. "If you're lying," she began, but he cut her off. "I'm not." Then headlights appeared from the other side of the bridge. Multiple cars. Doors slammed. Men in black stepped out, guns drawn. Ryan's voice broke the chaos. "They found us." He pulled Emma behind him as bullets shattered the night. Ellison shouted, "Go!" His voice vanished into thunder and fire. The gunfire stopped as suddenly as it began. Smoke drifted across the bridge. Two men lay motionless. One car burned at the edge. Emma crawled to her feet, coughing, clutching the flash drive. Ryan limped toward her, blood on his sleeve. "We have to go," he said. She looked around. Ellison was gone. Vanished. "He ran," Ryan muttered bitterly, "just like before." They stumbled into her car and sped away, city lights blurring behind them. In the rearview mirror, the bridge disappeared into fog. For the first time, Emma wondered if her sister had known she'd have to finish the fight herself. Hours later, Emma pulled into an abandoned gas station on the highway's edge. Ryan was unconscious, blood pooling under his sleeve. She found an old towel and pressed it against the wound. "Stay with me," she whispered. When she reached for the flash drive again, her phone vibrated. A new message. "You have something that belongs to us." Her heart froze. Then another. Room 12. Midnight. She looked up. The motel, the same one Claire had vanished from. She stared at the glowing screen, then at Ryan's pale face. "We're finishing this," she whispered. Somewhere in the darkness, thunder rumbled like approval. The motel looked exactly as Emma remembered. Silent, half forgotten, its neon sign flickering against the dark. She parked the car a block away and checked Ryan's pulse, weak but steady. The flash drive burned cold in her pocket. Midnight drew near. As she stepped into the parking lot, every sound felt amplified. The crunch of gravel, the hum of the single streetlight, the whisper of rain beginning to fall again. Room 12 waited, door slightly ajar. She hesitated, then pushed it open. Inside, the air smelled of dust and perfume, and sitting in the corner chair, alive but fragile, was Claire. Emma couldn't speak. Her sister looked ghostly, her eyes both relieved and haunted. "I told you not to come," Claire said softly. "You were supposed to stay safe." Emma's voice broke. "You made me think you were dead." Claire stood slowly, trembling. "I had to disappear. They wanted the evidence gone, and me with it. I knew if they thought I was dead, you'd stop looking." Emma stepped closer, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. "You don't get to decide that for me." Claire's gaze fell to the flash drive in Emma's hand. "You found it," Emma nodded. "And now we finish it." The moment shattered with a sound outside. The grind of tires on gravel. Claire's eyes widened. "They found me." She grabbed Emma's wrist. "You have to go." But it was too late. The door burst open. Two men in black suits entered with guns raised. Emma ducked, dragging Claire down behind the bed. One of the men shouted, "Give us the drive!" Claire pulled a pistol from under the mattress, firing twice. One man fell. The other ducked for cover. Emma's heart thundered. "We can't outrun them," Claire whispered. "Then we make them pay," Emma replied. For the first time, her voice sounded exactly like her sister's. The gunfire stopped. Smoke drifted across the room. One man lay still, the other gone. Claire dropped the pistol, shaking. "They won't stop," she said. "Ellison's their link. He used me. And when I tried to expose him, he sent them." Emma stared at her. "He said he tried to protect you." Claire laughed bitterly. "He protected himself." Emma's grip tightened on the flash drive. "Then we end him." Claire looked at her sister. No longer the quiet girl who followed, but someone stronger. "You sound like me," she said. "No," Emma replied. "Jaw firm. I sound like karma." An hour later, the sisters stood on a cliff overlooking the city. The storm had broken. The air smelled clean, renewed. Claire leaned on Emma, her voice weak. "The flash drive. It's everything. Bank records, names, even Ellison's." Emma slipped it into her jacket. "Then tomorrow, the world learns who he really is." Claire smiled faintly. "You always were the brave one." Emma looked out at the skyline, neon lights shimmering on wet streets. "No," she said softly. "I just finally learned the truth." Behind them, headlights approached. Ellison's car. Emma didn't flinch. This time, she was ready. Meow! The headlights cut through the mist as Ellison's car stopped behind them. The engine idled low, menacing. Emma turned, body tense, hand on the flash drive in her coat. Claire straightened beside her, pale but fierce. Ellison stepped out, coat flapping in the wind, face unreadable. "You weren't supposed to find her," he said quietly. "And yet," Emma replied, "here we are." He looked at Claire. "You should have stayed hidden." Claire's voice trembled but strong. "You stole lives to protect your lies." Ellison sighed, almost tired. "You think the truth will save you. It never does." But as he reached inside his coat, Emma already knew what she had to do. "Put it down, Ellison," Emma warned. But he didn't. His hand came out holding a small pistol, aimed at her chest. Claire moved instinctively, stepping between them. "You'll have to shoot me first," she said. He hesitated, rain dripping from his jaw. "Claire, I never wanted this." "Then stop lying," she whispered. Ellison's grip faltered. Emma took a step closer, pulling the flash drive from her coat. "This is over. Every name, every account, it's going public." He shook his head slowly. "You don't understand what you're doing." Emma's voice was steady. "I understand perfectly. I'm setting you free from your own corruption." A flash of movement broke the standoff. Ryan's car barreled up the hill, tires screaming on wet asphalt. He stumbled out, arm bandaged, face pale. "Drop the gun, Ellison," he shouted. For once his voice wasn't cruel, only desperate. Ellison turned toward him. Claire seized the moment and lunged. The gun went off once, echoing across the cliffside. For a breath, no one moved. Then Ellison fell to his knees, gun clattering away. Claire stood trembling, a red stain spreading across her side. "No!" Emma gasped, catching her sister as she fell. Rain mingled with tears as Claire smiled weakly. "I told you not to come." Ellison collapsed against his car, coughing blood. She wasn't supposed to die," he murmured. Emma laid Claire down gently, her fingers stained red. "You did this," she said, voice breaking. "All for money and power." He looked up at her, eyes dimming. "No, for survival." Ryan walked forward, tossing his gun into the river below. "You don't deserve to survive." Ellison gave a final, bitter smile. "Neither did she." He exhaled one last time, falling silent. The wind carried his words away. Emma closed Claire's eyes. "You can rest now," she whispered. Karma came for him. By dawn, the rain had stopped. Emma stood at the edge of the cliff, watching the first light spill over the city. She'd sent the files to every news outlet before sunrise. Within hours, headlines would name every corrupt officer, every executive, every lie Claire had died to expose. Ryan stood beside her, silent, bruised, broken. "What now?" he asked. She looked out at the horizon, the wind brushing her face. "Now," she said, "we live." The sun climbed higher, washing the world clean. Behind her, sirens echoed faintly from the valley, and the ghosts of the past faded with the night.